Hey everybody, this is Helena, and I'm here with my husband Tom today.
Hey everyone, we just came on last minute because we wanted to do a live stream on how to be a priority and not an option. And we have 7 things that we wanted to share that will always help the right man to prioritize you. And they're also useful for helping to weed out the wrong men.
Absolutely. While we're waiting for some people to join, I just wanted to mention that I'm going to be going live almost every day in the month of October. I'm going to be doing my podcast, Master Your Magnetism, broadcasting it live using an app called Bullhorn. We did one together yesterday. We had so much fun. The replay is posted on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can just search for my podcast, Master Your Magnetism. And if you want to join my live broadcast and actually be able to call in and talk to me personally or type your questions into the live chat, it's totally free. I included a link in the description of this video. So just click the title of this video. It'll open up the description, and the first link in there is the link to download the app that allows me to broadcast live. And it's so user-friendly. You guys are going to love it. You can just call in, talk to me personally. My next live broadcast is going to be on Monday at 5:00 p.m. Eastern time. So thank you so much, you guys, for joining. Can you hear us okay? We're using yet another microphone. We're experimenting with different microphones this week. So let us know where you're watching from, and we'll go ahead and get started. So the first thing you want to do in order to be a man's priority, not an option, is reframe your mindset. So I hear from so many women who have made this one particular man the goal or the prize in their mind. So if you're feeling a sense of longing for a man, especially a guy who's not prioritizing you or not giving you all of the love and attention or commitment you want, just know that's never going to work for you. You have to start turning this around. And that's what we're going to be sharing in the rest of these steps. So basically, you want to, actually, do you have anything you want to say before I jump into
Yeah,
this
I mean,
one?
I think, you often hear the expression take him off the pedestal, but that kind of applies here. And I think that, men who are fading, who would fade away if you're not putting in energy into the relationship, you actually want to get to the place where you want that to happen as quickly as possible. The men who are not prioritizing you, you hope that you want to get to the place where you allow them to fade away,
Mm.
and that allows space for the right men to be drawn into your life.
Absolutely. Yeah. You want the men who are stringing you along and who are never going to make you a priority to fade away. Something I say all the time is you want to embody this feeling of gratitude in advance when the wrong men show you that they're the wrong men, right? So you can move through them quickly and on to the next better match for you. So that's the first thing you want to do. Reframe your mindset. Basically, take your energy and attention off of this one guy who's not making you a priority and put that attention on yourself and your own feelings and desires. So often we can get so wrapped up in how we feel for a man. And so we wonder, what's he thinking? How does he feel about me? What can I do to get him to step up and make me a priority? It's a little counterintuitive. You actually don't want to do that. You want to take your energy off of him, put it on yourself and what you truly want and deserve. And that's kind of the overview. That's the foundation. And then we'll get into the specifics here in the rest of
Right.
these steps.
And I think that leads us actually into the second tip, which is to stop trying to make something happen. That means to stop trying to make it easy for him to just simply stick around,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely. You want to see what a man does all on his own without any prompting or pushing things along. We hear from so many women who are just kind of fighting to keep that connection active and alive, especially if a guy's pulling away or acting distant. There's this tendency to want to like hang on to him and just like make sure he doesn't slip away, right?
Right. Yeah.
um, I know you have some great things to say about not kind of fighting the nature of the relationship. Would this be a good place to mention that?
Yeah, I think that in these types of situations, if you're feeling as though you have to keep putting in that energy into the relationship to keep it from dissipating and you're trying to make something happen, you're sort of fighting against the inherent nature of a relationship like that. The inherent nature of that type of relationship where you feel as though you constantly have to keep putting in this energy to just hold it together is that that relationship naturally wants to dissipate. And so if you're putting in that energy and just trying to hold it together, you're sort of working against the nature, the underlying foundation of that relationship. And that's something that is basically wasted energy on your part that you want to stop doing, so that that relationship can dissipate as quickly as possible. I think there's this analogy of trying to push a boulder up a hill,
Mm.
and in this sort of situation, it applies here, where you basically are trying to exert this energy to get this boulder up to the top of the hill. But as soon as you would stop putting in that energy, the boulder wants to just roll back down the hill again. So the quicker that you can do that, allow it to roll back down the hill, the less energy that you've wasted on something that isn't
Mhm.
headed in the right direction.
Absolutely. Yeah. You want to actually let that boulder roll down the hill, right? Which frees up a lot of energy for the right person to come towards you, who is going to make you a priority without all of this work and, pressure and pushing on your end. So that brings us to number 3. The third thing you want to do is ignore a man's words and watch his actions. So, what are his actions telling you? Is he showing you with his actions, consistent actions over time, that he's motivated to get into a relationship with you? And we'd love to hear from you guys too. Let us know in the comment section or in the live chat. Thank you so much, Fiona. Let us know if you have any questions too. We'll get to those at the end, as many as we can. So let's see. Are these the actions of a man who wants to prioritize you, even if you're in a relationship, right? The only exception we have to this is if, I hear from a lot of women where a man's coming around a lot and it's almost like they're dating, but he's flat out telling her that he's not ready for a relationship, or he just wants to be friends, or he's never going to want a commitment. You want to believe what a man's telling you if he's saying something like that. But other than that, you want to watch his actions. Don't you think?
Right. Yeah. And I think that you can ask yourself a question to help clarify this type of situation. You can ask yourself, if this relationship dynamic as it currently stands, all things being the same,
Mm-hmm.
not making any assumptions about what he might how he might change or transform, ask yourself if this is something that you yourself want to commit yourself to,
Yeah.
that you would want to tie yourself to right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that helps to clarify a situation where you may be trying to get him to further commit or prioritize you. The basic, underlying foundation of that is from your standpoint, whether or not it's something that you want to commit to first. That's really the first question to answer. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that leads us into the next thing that we wanted to share, which is that once you have asked yourself that question, then you can also focus on the behavior that he's exhibiting, and ask if you would accept that type of behavior from a new man.
Mm.
And if that's not the case, then stop accepting the quote unquote bad behavior or the crumbs that this particular man is giving you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's number 4. Stop tolerating bad behavior or accepting crumbs from a man. I have women ask themselves that question all the time. Would you tolerate this behavior from another man or a brand new guy? And they almost always say, no, I would never accept this from another guy. I would never tolerate what's going on with someone else. But there's just something about this guy that keeps me holding on to him, or holding out hope that maybe one day things will change. Maybe if I just show him every single thing I have to offer, maybe then he'll prioritize me and fully commit. So thank you so much, Linda. Oh my goodness, you guys are so sweet. We did have one question that kind of related to the last one, just before I forget. Peyton says, so if you're with a guy for over a year and he still calls you a friend, then should I split? I mean, absolutely. It depends on what you want. Do you want to just have a friend for, a kind of companion type situation? Or if you want a committed relationship, absolutely. Well, yeah, absolutely. What do you think though?
Right. I mean, I
Yeah.
think that that goes along with some of the things that we
Mm-hmm.
want to share later on. But I think generally, yeah, you don't want to wait around, because there's this tendency to keep holding out this hope that at some point something will happen in the relationship, or something will become something will transform. And when you are holding out that hope, then you end up in this endless state of waiting, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, everyone's on the same, but you guys are all experts now. Yeah, if you're a friend, but if you want more, exactly, move on so you don't block your beautiful self-love blessings. I love it. Okay, I see some other questions there that we'll get to at the end. We just wanted to like save that one because it really related to this. So yeah, you want to stop tolerating bad behavior or accepting crumbs from a man. It's super important. And that brings us to number 5. And this one we just love talking about. What you want to do is stop making excuses for him. We see this so often. I see so many excuses in the comment sections of some of my videos. Things like, yeah, we have a great time when we're together, but he's really busy right now. So he can only really see me a couple times a month. Or, he has his kids, most weeks. And so he can fit me into his schedule every once in a while. But these guys just aren't really making you a priority. And it's just so clear. It's so clear to us, or probably anyone looking objectively at the situation, that they're just never going to really put both feet in and fully commit. Something that we found is that how things start off in a relationship are typically how they progress. I've talked so much about the fact that Tom is one of the busiest people I've ever met, but that never really affected our relationship at all because he was also highly interested and motivated to get into a relationship with me and see where things would go. Do you want to say anything about that? I'm sure
Yeah,
people
I
would
mean,
love
I
to
know
have
we've
your
talked about that
perspective.
before, that I think a truly busy person tends to want to prioritize the things that are important to
Yeah.
him when the time is available. And, generally he will make the time for those things. It doesn't really matter how busy a person is. They still have to prioritize the things in their lives that are the most important. And so I think that excuse gets used very frequently, but is very seldom actually a
Mm-hmm.
valid excuse. And I
Yeah.
think in our case, that being busy actually focused my attention more, because I didn't have excess time to waste, basically. So I didn't want to have some situation where it wasn't progressing and we were basically wasting our
Mm-hmm.
time. I wanted to focus the energy on something that I felt like, there was a long-term potential for, which was what we sort of were developing. So
Yeah.
I know that in our own lives, we have family and friends. Sometimes I know they've, asked, you have asked sometimes friends who are dating somebody new, basically the question about when the last time they set up a date was, or when the person last contacted her or saw her or something. And there's often this very immediate desire to make an excuse,
Yeah.
like, well, he has his kids this weekend, or,
He just got
he,
home.
right.
He just pulled into the driveway and it's midnight. And then yesterday he had to work really late. I mean, it's almost like they're, his secretary just spouting out the excuses that he's given her.
Right.
Right.
And I think there's that tendency because the person recognizes that there's some deficiency in
Mm-hmm.
what she's getting from him. And so she has to justify it to herself. And that becomes projected outwardly to other people. If another person asks the question, um, and she feels the need to provide an excuse, it's probably because she's recognizing and trying to justify why she is sticking around in this situation that is unsatisfying to herself. And so that then becomes turned around and projected outwardly as well,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm loving all these comments too. Thank you guys so much for giving your perspective. We'll get to those at the end. And yeah, I mean, I talk about the 3 categories of people who say they're busy when they're dating. The first is someone who's not all that interested. Like they just probably don't want to hurt your feelings or have a straightforward conversation. So they just say they're busy. And those situations just tend to fizzle out. The second category is what you fell into, someone who is actually busy, but who's also highly interested and motivated to see where things would go. I remember one time, I don't know if you remember this, we were sitting actually right here on this couch, and it was early on in our dating, like I don't know, maybe 3 or so months in, and you said, I really want to see where this goes. I know I have limited free time, but I'm going to, make more free time so we can spend that together. And we spend every weekend together and time during the week. So don't let people say they're busy. Don't just hold on to them. You want to watch their actions, like we talked about in the third step. And the third category of men who say they're busy is they're somewhat interested. They'll take what you have to offer, but they may or may not be busy. Right? They're interested enough to see you when they can, but they're not really ever going to put both feet in and fully commit. And these guys can be so easy to get hooked on because they likely have all the qualities you're looking for, and you probably have a lot of chemistry and attraction for them. And so, you hang on to what they say, like they're looking for a relationship, or, oh, I'm so sorry, things will be different. That's why it's important to ignore the words, watch the actions. Super important, right?
Right. And I think that's actually another reason why number 6 is so important. The sixth thing that we wanted to share, which is something we touched on earlier, and that's to not wait for a man endlessly. If you're waiting for somebody endlessly, you're basically allowing him to just sort of stick around and provide whatever level of commitment that he's providing at that point. And there's no real reason for him to want to step up and commit any further, because he may be deriving some satisfaction or some benefit from your relationship as it currently stands, and is not being required to commit anymore to it at that point, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is so, oh my gosh, I can't wait to get to some of these questions. Yeah, I can't get him to commit to a date. This is exactly what we're talking about. So yeah, you don't want to be waiting around. This is like perfect. You might want to go back and watch the beginning of this too after it posts. It's so important. I hear from women all the time that say, well, he won't commit to me, but he won't let me go. Has anyone ever said something like that? And they go, well, why won't he let me go? Why does he keep coming around? And the answer is he's coming around because it's a great deal for him and you're allowing it. He gets to see you whenever he can. He gets the companionship, the whatever it is. Maybe you're sleeping together. He gets those benefits, but he doesn't have to make a commitment. He doesn't even have to really prioritize you. So why would he not stop coming around if you keep allowing it? So it's your responsibility to stop waiting for these guys. It's super, super important. And that brings us to the last thing we wanted to share, number 7, and that is the fact that you have to choose yourself before this man, or a high quality man, if you're single and just meeting people, is ever going to choose you. You have to put your own heart first. Something I say all the time is that you have to put your desire for a great relationship ahead or above your desire to just be with this one specific man who's not quite stepping up and making you a priority. And what does this look like in real life? This could look like all different kinds of things. It could look like drawing a line and setting a boundary and saying something like, it feels great being with you. I've had a good time getting to know you. And what I'm looking for is a little more consistency, or it doesn't feel as though we're on the same page, and actually sticking to that, meaning you might have to potentially move on if he's not able to step up, not to strategically try to make him see your value and make him prioritize you. That's never going to work, right? But you have to choose yourself and put your own heart first. So if you guys have questions about your specific situation, I know there's all kinds of situations out there. Let us know in the live chat or in the comments after this post. Maybe everyone can help each other out. Do you have anything to say on this last one?
Yeah, I think this one ties in with the first thing that we shared, which was to reframe your mindset. Because I think, if you are choosing yourself, that also means that you are aware of the fact that the quality of the relationship, the quality, the committed relationship that you're looking for is more important than the particular person that you may be stuck on at the moment. And so that's where, the reframing of your mindset around it, and taking this particular person off the pedestal and allowing, if it's the wrong person, for him to fade away so that the right person can come into your life. That's where this is important, because in order to prioritize yourself, you have to first recognize that the quality of the relationship is the thing that is the most important to you.
Yeah, so important. Yeah, so judge the relationship, not the person. These are so important. Should I recap these and then we will get to some questions? We just wanted to come on for a quick live stream today, but I see some questions we can definitely get to. So the first one is reframing your mindset, right? Taking your focus off of this guy and how do I get him to prioritize me, and putting it on yourself and what you're truly feeling and desiring. That will clear up your perception a lot. You'll start to see this man and situation for what it really is, right? The second thing is stop trying to make something happen with him, right? Don't make things as easy as possible. Don't be the one to always initiate contact and move things forward. You want to see what he does all on his own. Number 3 is ignore his words, watch his actions. Are these the actions of a man who's motivated to get into a relationship with you or prioritize you if you're already in a relationship? Number 4 is stop tolerating bad behavior or accepting crumbs from a man. Any man, really. You can ask yourself, would you tolerate this behavior or accept whatever this man is giving you from another guy, a brand new man? And most often the answer is no. Number 5, stop making excuses for him. So important. If you can stop doing number 5, that will it'll just clear up everything for you. Number 6 is stop waiting for him endlessly. If you're waiting for a guy, just you've convinced him sometimes with your words, but usually it's with your actions. You've convinced him you're not going anywhere. There's no reason for him to step up and prioritize you. He's not afraid of losing you at all. You've convinced him that you are not going anywhere. And so there's no reason for him to do anything different or make a decision or commit to you or make you more of a priority. And number 7 is you have to choose yourself before this guy or a high quality guy is ever going to choose you. And this could look like all different kinds of things. I mean, there are millions of different situations out there, but we'd love to help you out in the chat if anyone has any specific questions. You can also always go to feminineenchantment.com. I don't talk about this very much, but feminineenchantment.com, get your personal questions answered by my top coaches in a private online forum. I believe it's on a sale for $1 trial right now. You get my whole feminine enchantment system. You get access to the Goddess Club. That's feminineenchantment.com. I'll include a link to that in the description as well. And don't forget to join. I have so much to say today. It's so funny. Don't forget to join my my live podcast recordings. That's totally free. That's the Bullhorn app. The link's in the description right now. That's the first link in there. And my next live broadcast will be on Monday. You can actually call in and talk to me personally or type your questions into the chat, similar to YouTube. Okay, did I cover everything?
I think so.
Let me scroll up. There's so much to say today. Okay, we wanted to try to keep this to under 30 minutes, but let's see if we can get to some questions. So we're scrolling all the way to the top. You guys are so sweet. Thank you so much. We just appreciate you so much. Fiona, you are awesome. Thank you. Someone said the last microphone was awesome. This one's working well too. Okay, good. I'm such a perfectionist with the way things sound now. Everyone's loving getting your perspective. We answered Peyton's question. Let's see. If you're both in your 50s, this still applies. This applies to men of all ages, right?
Right.
Okay. My boyfriend of 2 months just recently told me he loves me, and I feel the same. Do you think it's too early? He's been showing up in every way. No, when did we first say I love you? It was right around
probably
then.
About the same time frame.
Yeah.
I don't think there's necessarily a particular time frame that, you know, it varies by each situation depending on how frequently you've seen each other and so forth. But no, I don't think that that's too early.
Yeah. Oh, I love this. Hope is a double-edged sword. Hope floats, but can also be toxic and limiting. Keep perspective. Absolutely. Everyone is definitely resonating with all of these points. So wonderful to have Tom join and offer us his time and perspective. Oh, you're very welcome. I love it. Okay, let's see. Men will prioritize what's important to them, either the relationship or the career. Yeah, absolutely. Also, you know, how someone does something in one area is kind of how they do it in all areas. I know for you, we talked about this when we were on a walk together yesterday. You know, his work ethic's really important to him. And he's also that same way in our relationship. It's important to him that, you know, he's he takes care of me, emotionally and meets my needs. And obviously that's mutual. But if a guy is like so focused on his work, but like knocks off the relationship and you're like always a second priority, that's something to take a look at. Right. Anything else you want to say?
Yeah, I think one of the other things that we were saying was that I think, you get pretty good indications right from the beginning in a relationship of how somebody is going to be too. I know that with us, one of the things that I had mentioned that stood out to me was similarly your level of investment from the beginning. And before we even got to really know each other well, to where we were investing in each other or committing to anything in terms of a relationship with each other, I could tell that you were somebody who were not you were not going to be flaky. You were not going to sort of just drop off without any sort of warning or anything. I could tell that you were going to meet me where I was in terms of putting in some level of energy and priority into our developing relationship. And so I think, I knew that right from the very beginning with you. And I think you recognize that similarly with me too. I think you kind of get a good indication pretty early about how somebody's going to be through the course of the relationship.
Which is to say, if they're flaky from the beginning, don't delude yourself into thinking that if you can just show him everything you have to offer, right? Show him that you're different from all the women that have hurt them in the past. I hear all kinds of things like that he'll magically transform into this guy that has all kinds of time for you and wants to prioritize you. Watch what he's doing right from the start. I think that's really important. Not a lot of people do that. Okay, here's a longer question. I can't really see these till I put them on the screen, so let me just read it. I've been dating a guy very intensely for a month. Then he had a really busy work month. We spoke during that time, kept contact as usual. Then he had to cancel our most recent date. I asked him when he was free. He called me. We had a chat about making time to see each other. He arranged a time to see me. The next day, he sent me a text saying he needs to slow down. He feels we want different communication. He still wants to get to know me, just taking a step back. I responded supportively, said it would be great to talk when we have time. We arranged a time to meet to have lunch. Any thoughts? I mean, I would believe him. It's not a great sign that he said that. I mean, I would believe him and mirror that and appropriately take a step back. I would certainly keep your options open. Hopefully you're not exclusively, it doesn't sound like you're exclusive. It sounds like it's early stages. Keep your energy open to other men who may be much more on the same page in terms of like their intentions. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's unclear what direction that may take. There are situations like that, there may be genuinely something that is sort of one-off kind of situation that prevents somebody from committing to something, especially when it's in its early stages. But I think, like you said, you have to be matching the person in the level of commitment that they're putting in at the time and keeping your options open.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, here's another one. Let's see. There's a guy who disappeared for a bit. He only appeared when arranging dates. He's the first guy who asked for a call on his own without my prompting. He reappeared. What should I tell him? How long did he disappear for? I mean, if he disappeared for like a couple days and you guys are just like in the very early stages, it's not that he disappeared. He was just, I mean, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I agree. It's hard to tell without some time frame for how long he disappeared, but that could be a indication that he's maybe not that interested, but it's not really clear based on how many
there's a difference
elapsed.
If he disappeared for 3 weeks then came back, I would say just drop him and move on. Like he's probably exploring his other options. A couple days and you don't really know each other that well, it's a different situation.
Yeah, I think you've mentioned though before too that the thing about not having any prompting and him suddenly reappearing, you've mentioned in cases where a guy is basically just trying to keep something. As soon as you start to back away, then suddenly he reaches out again because he doesn't want to let you go. He wants to make sure that that you're still there, and then if you don't respond, then he suddenly reaches out again, and it's kind of this constant.
A good point. Yeah, he's not reaching out because he's had this change of heart and now he's ready to prioritize you, right? If a guy's hot and cold and he comes back around, it's like this like sneaky way that he's testing you to see if he still has you in his back pocket often, right? It's the person we were talking about in some of these examples is the same situation. The guy, as soon as she started to move on, it's like these guys have these radar on you. They pop back up. They can feel your energy, but they don't come back around to like profess their love to you. They usually say, hey, how have you been? It's not the text message you want to receive, but because you're holding out hope and making excuses for him and waiting for him, everything we're saying in this live stream, it gets your hopes up and it just keeps you stuck on him. So that's why it's so important to watch his actions, right? Yeah. The wrong people serve a good purpose to learn and value ourselves. Absolutely. Yes. So great. Let's see, some of these, there's so many comments in the chat that some of them just keep disappearing. So hopefully if we're missing any of these, just put them at the bottom at the end. Yeah, I totally agree. The best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. Let's see, he may be keeping you in his orbit. Yeah, absolutely. I think we maybe got to all the questions. Do you see any of that? They're so hard to see until we get them on the screen. Let's see. Here's one from Navita. How to reconcile with a great man when communication was awful over the years? How much time to work through the recovery? Is he coming to you? I mean, how do you know that anything's going to be different this time around? Is he coming to you, explaining to you how things would be different? Or is he just the same guy he always was and you're wanting to reconcile with him because you miss him? Or you haven't found anybody that you feel that way for? You know what I mean? What is he doing? How is he showing you that communication is going to be different, that things are going to be different this time? I get questions like this a lot. How do you reconcile with a guy that things didn't work out, but he's just the same guy he has been this whole time? So it's everything we're talking about. What's he doing? Watch his actions, right? Anything you want to add there?
Yeah, I mean, and it's unclear too in this question, if he is a great man or a good man, on what is that evaluation being made? If communication was always terrible, the other factors there leads you to wonder what it is that you would want to try to rekindle this relationship over.
Yeah. So many nuances of this. That's why I want you guys to join my live broadcast recordings, totally free. You could actually call in. You just push a button on the app, you call in, and I could talk to you personally about this. So if you guys are available Monday at 5:00 p.m. Eastern time, and pretty much every day in the month of October, I'm going to be going live at different times, and you want to actually talk to me, I would definitely do that. The link to do that it's the first link in the description. It's the Bullhorn app. Here's a question from Carrie. I found another one. Should you communicate why you're walking away before you do it when you've already indicated you wanted more time with him? This is one of those things that depends on the situation. If this is just some guy you barely know that you met online or something, you want to rely more on your actions, right? If you were like married to this man, it doesn't sound like you are, but if you were in a long-term relationship, obviously there would be more talking. You would kind of rely more on your words and how you say it. You're not just going to like disappear on some guy you've been exclusively involved with for 8-9 months, right? But if he's just someone you went on a few dates with and he's not doing anything, I don't know if there's a need to lean forward and explain why you're walking away if he's already gone. So every situation's so different. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I know that you've received similar questions from people in our own lives about what to say to a man as they are walking away or wanting to walk away. And I think, like you said, it depends on the scenario, but I think in a lot of these cases where it's a relatively short-term relationship and you don't have a deep investment, it doesn't really ultimately matter that much what you say to him as you're walking away, because you're not going to rekindle that relationship. It's clearly, if it's clearly the wrong match, clearly the wrong person, what would be the purpose in communicating something to him in some of these circumstances? Obviously, like you said, it's a lot different if there's a real investment there and you're, in a committed long-term relationship, you have some conversation there. But if it's something short-term, there's not necessarily a lot of purpose in that.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay. We're a little over 30 minutes. Are you okay to keep going? We have some great
Sure.
questions. Thank you for the $5, Fiona. I appreciate you so much. If a guy has Delta Corona, 2 relatives are very ill, how much space do you give? His mom said she's extremely grateful for my support. Oh, wow. I mean, it's again similar to the last one. Is this a guy that you've been dating for a while and he's shown you, I mean, if it's like if we had just first started dating. Okay, so actually after our first date, we've never even shared this before. After our first date, he got sick. And so we didn't see each other the next weekend after that. I wasn't invested at all. So it's not like I was waiting for him. But he asked me out again like the next week. Like you said something like it was important to you that I didn't feel that you were just like disappearing, right? So what is he doing? Is he asking you to wait for him? Are you exclusively committed to this guy? Or is this some guy that you just met? What's the situation? But I'd love to hear your take on that.
Yeah, I mean, I remember in this scenario that you're referring to,
Yeah.
being genuinely concerned that you would think that, being that we had only been on one date, that I was just one of those guys who just flakes out and disappears or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was legitimately sick and was unable to, set up another date for at least the next week or possibly more. And I wanted to make sure that it's difficult when you're with you meet a brand new person. They don't know you at all, so they have no reason, no history on which to base a conclusion that you're a trustworthy and honest person or anything like that. So I had no reason to think that you would believe that I was not just flaking out. And so it was important to me that the next time that I had to set up a date and stuff, that I did that, and that, I was demonstrating to you that I was consistent, because obviously there are those scenarios, those one-off situations where you genuinely have something come up in your life and you're unable to continue or hold the same consistency or something that you would normally want in a relationship. So like you said, I think it's important to watch how he has been in whatever history that you've established, and how he is going forward with his actions, and what he is indicating with regard to his level of wanting to prioritize you.
It's actually a good example. I don't think we've ever shared that before. Yeah, so since we had just been on one date, right? There was no investment on either side. I didn't like wait for him, but we were in contact that whole time. I think I went out with my friends the next weekend, and then I saw him as soon as he was better. Actually, I think you were still a little sick, because then I got sick after. Right. So he was being honest. But had we been dating for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and we were like totally invested and committed, and you got something like this, absolutely I would have, after we were in a committed relationship, we had said I love you, we talked about the future, I wouldn't, so it depends on where you're at and what he's doing, how much investment he's put in. Was that helpful? If you need more clarification, let us know. I hope that was helpful. You think we answered that okay? It's so hard to know without being able to talk to you. That's why I want to do these live broadcasts with my podcast, so I can actually talk to you guys. That would be great. Okay, how to deal with PTSD and depression. Is it your PTSD and depression, or is it his? If it's his, I think I actually have videos on this. I have a video on my channel with Adrienne Everhart, who you guys all love, right? What to do if your man has PTSD or you suspect he does. I also have one with her on what to do if your man's depressed or going through a difficult time. I also have one with Rory Ray on that topic too. So if you can search for that, or let me know after this post and I'll include links to those. They'll help you a lot. Both of those videos will help you a lot. If it's you going through that, let me know, and then maybe we can talk about that. Let's see. Karina says, I really like this video. It feels like you're giving me permission to put myself first. Oh, you're very welcome. I'm glad that this has been helpful. Guys want to stay with me, but they need to be taken care of. I learned to do that with my mother as a child. Yeah, it's a pattern. How to attract a high quality man. Wow, what a great question. Well, the awareness around this is the first step, which you already have, I think. I have a free training on my website called How to Stop Attracting the Wrong Men so you can attract the right one. I'll include that in the description after this post. It's like about an hour-long audio class I hosted a long time ago, but that should be really helpful. It's how to turn some of these patterns around. And often it's about taking care of yourself. We lose our empathy for ourselves, and we're like so understanding, so impatient, so patient, I should say, with these men who are doing all these things, making excuses, keeping you waiting. So where's your self-empathy? Once you take care of yourself, you're going to start to get bored and lose interest in a man that needs you to take care of him. Did that make sense how I explained that?
I think so.
Yeah, you'll naturally get bored and lose interest. When a man shows up and he is, not in his empowered masculine energy and moving things forward, if that starts to turn you off and make you get bored and lose interest, you're on the right track. If that pulls you in, women who have these patterns are susceptible to that dynamic, and they get pulled in and they don't have any empathy or, compassion for themselves, but they have all the understanding in the world for this guy. So if that's you, that free training will be really helpful. I'll include a link to that too. I should have done that already, but Bullhorn was easy to install. Yeah, super user friendly. You guys will love it. So, and by the way, I don't work for them. They're not paying me to say any of this. I sound like a commercial for Bullhorn, but I did a lot of research about what's the best way to broadcast a podcast live. And that's the number one choice, because obviously you can't go live on Spotify or Apple at this time. So you can go live using Bullhorn. So you just download the app, search for my podcast, Master Your Magnetism. Make sure to hit the follow button, and then you'll get notified. Turn on your notifications. You'll get notified every time I go live. I'm hoping to do it at least 20, 30 maybe times in the month of October, and I'll keep it going if you guys like that, and it's totally free. So okay, I think that might be everything. Thank you so much. Yes, you guys are so sweet. What is a healthy pace for getting sexual? Oh, that's a great question. I'd be curious to hear from you guys on that. I would say the answer lies in how that feels to you, right? I mean, some people want to wait until they get married. Some people need to be exclusively committed before they feel comfortable with that. I would just say it depends on how you feel. What you don't want to do is use sex to try to further the relationship. So you want to watch what he's doing, make sure that you are feeling totally safe and secure, right?
Right.
Before you don't want to, the reason to have sex is not to try to get him to be more committed or get him to prioritize you, right? Any thoughts there? It's probably good to hear a man's perspective.
I mean, I think kind of like you alluded to, it obviously is specific to every relationship and every individual. I think it's also what is important to you. I think we've heard some people suggest that, being intimate, you only want to be intimate if you can potentially never see this person again, and that doesn't affect you. And I don't know that applies to everybody. That in fact probably is exactly the opposite of what I think some people would want. They probably want to ensure that they will continue to see this person, for a long time or indefinitely before they would ever get intimate. So it obviously is very specific to the person and the relationship. But I don't know that there's anything that is necessarily too quick if it feels right, if the natural progression is there in the relationship and it's something that you feel, like you said, where you're in a position where you feel safe and it's comfortable, and it's something that you're doing to further the connection, maybe not a strategy to try to draw somebody in or something like that.
So important. So important. Everyone's loving what you're sharing. So Tom is so reassuring. Yeah, he definitely is. So they said Tom probably never thought he'd be helping women all over the world. Yeah. Tom works an entirely different field. You probably had no idea that you would be true, but we like working together. Actually, we're finding it's really fun. We try and do this when we can. So yeah, everyone's loving everything you're saying. My boyfriend says loving words to me, but I don't feel I get much communication or prioritization from him. How and when do you break up? I'd be curious if you've told him that, have you communicated this to him? Because if you you could just break up and move on, he might not have any idea of how he can help. I actually have, I have a podcast episode that I recently posted. It's called Say This to Get Your Needs Met and When to Be Patient versus When to Move On. That's on my Master Your Magnetism podcast. Hopefully you guys are following me over there. I'll include a link to that too. It's on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, obviously totally free. How to be patient versus when to move on. I think that would help you a lot, give you some things you could actually specifically say to him, because every situation's so different. In general, though, I think, again, rather than giving you some sort of specific timeline, it's like, how does this feel to you? There are questions we could probably give you to ask yourself, like, would you tolerate this from another guy? Once you've told him, obviously, that, that what it is that you'd like. If you're in a committed relationship, it's okay to express your needs. You want to do that because he might not have any idea, right?
Right.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add to that? Or
yeah, no, I agree with what you said. I mean, I think it still comes down to the communication between the two of you and how you feel about what he's conveying in terms of his level of interest and prioritization in the relationship. If you're genuinely feeling like you're not getting that, then the communication from your standpoint of what you feel like is deficient is, I think, the first step, like you said.
So great. Yeah. Okay. I think we might have gotten to everyone's question. Can you do an Instagram half hour before you pod? Yeah, I'm actually not on Instagram. So I just don't have time to do, like, I don't have time for any more platforms that I am on Facebook. I can announce it on Facebook. If you guys follow me over there, I believe it's facebook.com/Helena Hart Coaching. But once you download the Bullhorn app, you'll see it at the top. You'll see all my lives at the top. And what you can do is just click on it and then click the button to set a reminder. It'll remind you. So, maybe there's certain ones you want to attend. You just click the remind me button on there. It's super easy, super user friendly. You guys are going to love it. And it'll just personally send a reminder to your phone when I'm about to start. So hopefully that'll be helpful. And as best I can, I'll post things on here and on my Facebook page. Absolutely. So thank you for that suggestion. That was great. I think that's probably everything. Okay. Oh, follow up here. So if I understand correctly, you're saying there shouldn't be an agenda for getting sexual. It should just be a confirmation of your feelings for each other, right? I think that's what you said, right?
Yeah. I think that's true. That right. That generally you shouldn't be using that as some sort of a strategy to try to manipulate the relationship or anything. It should be something that progresses naturally, I think, and that you feel is important to both of you in terms of deepening the connection. But also, like I said, you have to evaluate what is important to you. If that's something that you would only do with somebody that you are hoping would be a long-term, permanent partner, then you have to be true to that, that priority to yourself too. It's kind of, along the lines of what we were sharing in our tips about putting yourself and your own needs above a particular person.
Yeah, right? So good. Oh my gosh. Love it. So good. Tom is fantastic. So funny. Good. Tom is so humble. So he gets shy if there's too many calls, but I just think he's amazing too. So I'll put all that. I tell him all the time. Can Android users hear your podcast? Absolutely. Yeah. So let me make this super, super clear. I know maybe I'm not explaining it in a way that's maybe it's a little confusing. Yes, if you have an Android or an iPhone, doesn't matter. You can download the Bullhorn app. The link is in the description. So absolutely, no matter what device you have, go download the app. Those will be for my live broadcast. You guys can call in. You can talk to me personally. My next one's on Monday at 5:00 p.m. Eastern time. The replays will be posted on my Master Your Magnetism podcast, which can be heard on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you have an Android, absolutely, I'm sure you have the Spotify app on your phone, or if you have an iPhone, you already have the podcast app on there, most likely. Just search for my podcast, which is called Master Your Magnetism. Make sure you're following it on there. And if you want to join me live, you have to download the Bullhorn app because you can't go live on Spotify or Apple. Am I explaining that clearly?
Yeah.
Okay. I know it's a little confusing, but Bullhorn's so user friendly. You guys will love it. Once you get on there. Thank you so much. You're so sweet. Oh my gosh, you guys are so great. Let's see. Oh, they want to hear a man's point of view. We'll just make the last question because we're way over on time. Do you feel that femininity attracts a masculine man from a man's point of view? Yeah, I would love to hear your perspective on this. We've talked about this a lot.
Yeah, I mean, we probably could do another whole live stream or video or something on the misconceptions about feminine energy, right?
Yeah.
That's one of the things that we've talked about. I mean, I think generally, yes, that feminine energy is something that is attractive. Oftentimes people talk about that polarity. And I think that generally speaking, that's true, but it's also, I think, important to be to not confuse what is defined as feminine, because there are a lot of things that are perceived as feminine, that are not necessarily the things that are really a part of feminine energy. I know you often talk about doing things, in fact, is a masculine, is an exhibit of masculine energy. So the things that oftentimes people ascribe to feminine energy, as far as taking care of somebody, or even, I think your example of like applying makeup and stuff is actually, while you're doing, that's a masculine behavior. I mean, it's a masculine energy.
Absolutely.
Behavior.
Cooking, cleaning,
right.
A lot of nurturing, a lot of these things that people think are feminine energy are actually in masculine, because they involve taking action and doing things. And that's not a bad thing. It's not bad to be, you're not attracted to me when I'm in my masculine energy. Right. It's just, you don't want to, those things are not what makes a man fall in love. Right. I actually did a whole live stream Tuesday, just a couple days ago, called, 4 unusual feminine traits that make a man fall in love. And I shared 4 false feminine traits that turn men off. And I talk about some of these misconceptions or myths. So if you guys are interested in that, let me know when this posts. I'll include a link to that, but it's just the last video on my channel, 4 feminine traits that make men fall in love. It's so true. But in general, would you say that feminine energy attracts a man?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, the ability to at least recognize what that is and to embody that is, I think, generally attractive, because representing who you are genuinely and being able to be receptive is something that I think is generally attractive to a masculine man.
Yeah. So the feminine energy is simply, and I explained this in the live stream I did on my own a few days ago, it's the part of yourself and the part of a man, men have this too, that is in touch with your emotions, right? And that's what actually connects you. Well, I'll ask you, do you feel the most connected to me when I'm connected to myself and my heart and able to express that authentically, right? Yeah. Right. So that's what we talk about. That's what I mean when I talk about feminine energy.
Right. And I think you've said that, for example, something that would not be representative of feminine energy is like just being quote unquote bubbly or girly, or, something that is an outward projection of something that isn't actually what you feel, inside. I mean, that putting on a front or something, even if it's something that appears to be what people would typically consider feminine, is actually not feminine energy. And that's not what is attractive to men either. They want to, a high quality man wants to know what is representative of you genuinely.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's something I say all the time. Yeah. I love your perspective. Should we do a whole live stream just on that? The man's perspective on some of these feminine qualities? Let us know. We're looking for ideas. Right. So, it's so true. It's about conveying on the outside with your words and body language what you're truly feeling on the inside. That needs to be congruent. Otherwise, there's this disconnect, and men can feel the disconnect. They can feel the incongruence in your energy and your vibe. It makes them it doesn't inspire them to come closer. It makes them want to do just the opposite. So that's
Right.
why being open and expressive, I think that is absolutely what draws the right man in.
Right.
That's true feminine energy, right?
Right.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Everyone's saying yes. Okay. Maybe we'll do that next for our next one. Actually, you know what? We'll do a podcast. We'll do a live podcast episode on that. That would be really great, huh?
Yeah.
If you're open to it.
Yeah.
We've been talking about doing that. We'll share some false feminine traits, some true feminine traits from a man's perspective. So download the Bullhorn app and follow my podcast on there. The instructions are all in the description. You can join us live. Thank you so much. This was amazing. Thank you. We went way over on time, but it was so much fun connecting with you guys. And I will see you on Monday over on Bullhorn. Don't forget to follow my podcast over there. And our cat Leo is distracting me. And I will talk to you guys very soon, all month long in the month of October. So make sure you're following me on there. I'd love to actually talk to you guys personally. You can call in, kind of like a radio show. It's going to be so much fun. So thanks for watching, and thank you. I love getting your perspective. This was really great. And have a great weekend. Bye,
Thanks,
everybody.
everyone.